Welcome back. It is my pleasure to introduce you to one of my friends, Dr. JoQueta Handy, who is the CEO and co-founder of the Handy Wellness Foundation. It's so great to have you here. Thank you so much.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Oh, it is just, it's wonderful. And you were going to talk today about, you could talk about so many things when it comes to wellness, right? But today,
we've kind of narrowed it down.
We've narrowed it down.
Thank you. I know forever. Yes. And Amy's afraid.
I am afraid because it's a weakness of mine. So today, for all of our viewers, today we're talking about sugar and the effects that it has on aging, and
life in general.
And life in general, yeah, absolutely. There's so much that we could say about it. So
I agree. Yes,
Thank you.
One of the biggest things that I find, I work with from children all the way up to adults, older adults, and across the board, what I find is a lack of awareness. So one of the things that we do at our office is what's called a biofeedback scan that runs a nutritional scan, literally kind of like head to toe. And so in starting that scan, we ask a few opening questions. And one of the questions is, how many sugar products do you eat a day? And I always say, the obvious ones, of course, but think about all the places that there are hidden sugars. And I stop and I wait. And I get this look of, one. And I'm like, okay, let's think about, and I start naming off places where there's hidden sugars. And then I get a completely different look and response. And so I think that lack of awareness is one of the biggest things that's harming our health. And so that's what I kind of, one of my purposes is to increase that.
That's wonderful, to help us be more aware and more, what's the word, decided, to be more
intentional.
Intentional, that's the word I was looking for. How did you know? You brought it out of my mind. Anyway, and be more intentional about what we eat. But backing up, what is so wrong with sugar? What does it do?
Well, let's, the three areas that I like to talk about is our brain, our blood, and then the toxicity piece.
Okay.
Blood would go along with toxicity. But even if we go back and look at children, when we have children that have attention issues, what's one of the first things that we say, or at least I say, is let's take sugar out, because sugar works as what we call a beta blocker. It literally affects our ability to think. So many times when we give it to children, we see them go from calm to like a ping pong ball. And teachers will say they're not concentrating, they're not listening, things like that. The same thing happens to us when we age. We might just be better able to control it. So if we look at, in the area of brain, if we look at statistics on Alzheimer's right now, it hurts my heart. It's 44% of our population, 65 and older, have Alzheimer's.
What?
Yes.
Whoa. And I imagine it's on various levels, right?
Yes.
And so, wow, that's so really high.
Yes, it is.
And what's the relationship between that and sugar?
Sugar is, again, it works as a beta blocker. And so in affecting, in creating atrophy in the brain, absolutely, one of the leading things that cause that. If we look at the next piece, our blood, so from a toxic standpoint, cancer cells love white sugar. They literally will thrive. A cancer cell will thrive on white sugar. And so again, if we look at the latest statistics out on the probability of getting cancer in our 70 to 85-year-old range, 1 in 3, there is the probability that 1 in 3 people will get an invasive cancer. So we're not talking about one that's, well, I don't think any cancer is easy to manage, but one that has a high fatality rate. It's 1 in 3 in our older populations, and it's present, in all of ours. But as we age, and I know I read an interesting study. It was actually from Denmark on just this week, and they surveyed 1,000 adopted children. And they were trying to look at the genetic factor of cancer. And so from 1,000 adopted children, they went to the biological parent and they set the marker. What is the probability that the adopted child will get cancer if the biological parent had cancer by age 50? And then they went and looked at the adopted parent. They found zero correlation between the adopted child getting cancer and the biological parent having cancer.
What?
They found a 5 times more likelihood that the child would have cancer if the parent had cancer before 50.
The adoptive parent,
goodness.
because that's the person dictating the diet.
Wow, that
Exactly.
is an amazing study.
Yes, and
Wow.
so they said it was the habits, which goes back to, I work with a lot of autistic children, and Dr. Gupta said 20 years ago, in relation to autism, the genes load the gun, but the environment pulls the trigger. That would directly apply in the study, and that was the summary, or the end result. They said it's yes, genetics can absolutely load the gun, but it's the habits that will pull the trigger.
That is really interesting. So, okay, so brain, we can't think very well. So
Right.
I obviously have to, you know what I have at night? This is so bad. Why am I admitting this? I have like handfuls of jelly beans every night before I go to bed. Because I'm like working at night and I'm kind of tired. What should I eat? Oh, jelly beans. Plain sugar, straight sugar. I'm going to quit that right now.
Okay.
Yes.
It's over today.
And I think that brings up such an interesting point too. If in looking at, across the board, but if we're looking at kind of our older population, maybe our 60 and over, or I'm 50, so I don't like to include myself in the older population, but I guess I am. Especially if we live alone. I've seen it happen in my own family. No matter what age we are, we don't maybe cook for ourselves. Where having a family, I have 5 children, and it was always about having a meal on the table, and I think that happens less. And so we might go out and grab that fast food, or we might just, whatever's available, something quick. And what I saw in my own family is, going for more sugar. And when issues would come up of, wow, she's not thinking as clearly with an older aunt. First thing I did was I said, tell me what you're eating. And there was so much sugar involved. And so as soon as we took that away and put protein in place of it, she was diagnosed with initial stages of dementia, completely went away.
Wow.
Yeah, the body will correct itself.
That is
so
very interesting.
you threatened us with a quiz.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for this quiz.
Okay, so what do you think, again, from an awareness standpoint, what do you think is the amount of sugar that we should eat in a day?
Besides 0?
So when I've been actively counting sugar grams, I've tried to keep it below 20 in a day.
Okay, that's
20
really
grams
good.
of sugar or less.
Really good.
Yeah.
That is
Okay. The FDA tells us that we can have 25 grams of sugar.
Okay.
20 is better.
Should be.
And let me clarify that. So white sugar, I think, should just be
Yeah, I'm not
taken
talking about
out.
white sugar.
No.
I'm just talking about the natural occurring
The natural
sugars
sugars.
in the foods that I'm eating. Yeah.
Yes. So many of these foods that I'm going to quiz you about right now have white sugar in them. And so I'm just saying that, and when we look at labels, what are you reading? Are you reading, a white sugar? And that comes under so many, different labels. I have patients that tell me, well, it's cane sugar. Okay, well, what is that?
Well, I think you've got cane sugar, you've got fructose, you've got glucose derivatives, you've got
Yes.
all the oses
Exactly.
are sugars.
But so many times I think because they'll put organic cane sugar, somebody thinks it's okay, that's white sugar.
I see.
And one of the questions that you ask at the beginning is, what happens to sugar? Why is it bad? Well, when you take a sugar cane, that is loaded with nutrients. And when we refine it and turn it into white sugar, we strip away about 40 nutrients. And so it really becomes a non-food. And so in the body's ability to process that, convert it to glucose, which is our most usable form of sugar, it can't do that. Because in a whole digestion stage that we have to go through, there aren't enough vitamins and minerals. And so the place that it will pull those vitamins and minerals from are our bones. They did a study in Japan where they fed animals white sugar, and they found that if they gave them 50 grams of sugar, which the average American consumes 170 pounds of sugar a year. And when they gave these animals 50 grams of sugar, they could cut through their bones with a regular knife. So if we look at our disease state and how it's affecting our body. So, and again, I think
I got to help you with this because you
I'm gonna die.
You got to do this. I need you to be alive for a long, long time. So we need to do this together.
Yes, please. I know. Okay, our producer said 1 more minute, so let's do this quiz fast.
So, what I want you to tell me is I'm going to say it, and I want you to tell me how many grams of sugar you think it has in it.
Okay.
A granola bar.
15.
Very close. All right. How about a cup of oatmeal?
5.
About 12.
Okay, wow, double.
Okay. How about this? Let's go to Marie Callender's breakfast. Not trying to put down Marie Callender's at all, but if you had some hash browns, 2 eggs over easy, blueberry jam with white bread, how much how much sugar do you think you would have in that breakfast?
That
Pretty
doesn't
common
sound too bad.
breakfast,
Like
right?
100 grams of sugar.
You think? I was going to say 10.
Because there's sugar in the bread, there's sugar in the jam. There's what was the first thing? So there were the hash browns, and when you're eating out,
eggs.
they're adding sugar.
Oh, so what is it?
So that one has 26 grams of
Okay.
sugar.
Okay.
So you just kind of blew your whole day
Yeah,
of
because you're only supposed to
sugar
be 25, right?
right there.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's
Crazy.
a little scary. And even when you're reading labels, I mean, they don't have to list absolutely everything, and they change the names, and you don't know what you're
That's
actually
true.
reading.
And sometimes you don't know that, like I started doing this with cereal a little bit, and Frosted Flakes had like 9, which is bad, but Raisin Bran had like 16, and I thought Raisin Bran was like my health cereal. So it's really interesting.
But then the
to see.
question is it coming from the raisins, which have sugar?
So
True.
many. Dried fruit has so much sugar.
True, which is probably why I like it. I'll just take down an entire thing of dried cherries in one sitting.
But at least they're cherries.
That's true. They're not jelly beans.
Are they?
That's a good point.
It's not completely processed sugar, isn't there? Is there some trade-off there in the value? Or?
There, absolutely. So yes, and when you're eating something like jelly bean, which is all processed, coloring, chemicals.
worst thing I could possibly
your
eat.
dried cherries a little bit.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm going to switch.
Right on our Easter show.
Yes.
So, yeah,
JoQueta, will you please come back and do
I
that? We
would
have
love
so much
that,
more
yes.
to discuss.
We do.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you
My
so
pleasure.
much for
Thank
coming.
you so much for having me.
This is so fun. Okay, well, stay tuned for JoQueta on another segment, and we'll be right back.